focusing on AI, automation, advanced sensing in geospatial. We'll be talking about its innovation, the implementation of it, and its impact. We're at a crossroads where our space technology is no longer just about the observations of our Earth, but rather about the intelligence itself. So we'll be exploring about how the fusion between the AI, the advanced sensing, is moving us from seeing the world to or understanding it to how we can predict it for the future. So could you please introduce yourself, starting with Johnny?
This is Johnny. I'm right now working at Windrise. Actually, our company, we mainly focus on the dog solution, which is a drone automation solution. And previously, I also worked at DJI for over 7 years. So I focus on the drone enterprise drone solution. Also, surveying is one of the main industry for the drone use case. And before that, I was working for the telecommunication. So right now, I think talking about the geospatial, the drones, yeah, it's very exciting. Every day, there's always the new technology, no matter the data collection or the post processing. A lot of exciting technology here. So today, I'm very excited to discuss with you guys and share the insights. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I hope you are doing well. So my name is Faiz. I'm leading the business development within Space 42. We are the geospatial arm of J42, a company based in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, which is actually pushing hard the boundaries of how the data can be powered by AI. And when I say data, is basically satellite data, Earth observation data, digital twinning, and any kind of geospatial data acquisition, and all powered by AI to move really faster from data analytics to I would say decision making for our customers and partners. And I'm super happy to be with you.
Okay, thank you so much. I think Cecilia will be joining us as the session goes on. As a brief introduction for myself, I'm Lord Washem Tepa from Zimbabwe National Geospatial and Space Agency, and I'm a geospatial analyst in the Geospatial and Earth Observation Department. So as we are diving in our session, we are going to start on the global overview on how things are on a global perspective. So if you can see, the industry is moving so fast for the geospatial in the terms of AI, automation, intelligence, and everything. So, Sayed, could you please tell us on how AI, automation, and advanced sensing is fundamentally changing the geospatial industry globally today?
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. I think you mentioned it right now, is that AI is moving very quick. What was available in AI 2 weeks ago is no more the case right now. So I think globally, AI and automation, I think, are shifting the geospatial work from making maps like we were doing in the past to enabling decisions. It's more about the decision that those maps and Earth observation technologies are going to provide at the end of the journey to anyone on Earth. So they replace slow and manual updates with continuous and predictive analytics for agriculture, climate resiliency, city management, urban planning, so that public and private leaders get recommendations on how they can act on right now based on dynamic analytics and not just static imagery. And I think that's the big thing right now when it comes to the global overview.
That's true. Johnny, could you please give us your perspective?
Yeah, because I am from the drone industry, so maybe it's more interesting. I give you one specific example. So let's talk about maybe the forest industry. So traditionally, if you want to do the forest surveying, it's a massive area. So people, you need to take your, no matter it's LiDAR or RTK equipment to do the surveying. So on one hand, it takes a lot of time, a lot of human resources, and on the other hand, sometimes it's it will take a long time, and sometimes maybe it's a dangerous place. You cannot do the surveying all the time, so your data might not be very up to date. So these are the challenges. So for the AI and automation, so today when we use a drone, initially we can just fly the area, and we can quickly get the data, the 2D or 3D data. And today when talking about the AI, so firstly when you fly the drone. At the beginning, you are just doing the manual flight, but today you can all do the mission planning. Even you have a rough map at first, and the drone will automatically generate the flight path, which is the best for you. And when it comes to the data processing, processing part. Previously, you also, you get a lot of data, point cloud, and you need to select the data you need to process by yourself. But today, with different kinds of software, you can very easily get what you want to get the analysis, or even you can get a full report by click on one button. So this is one example. I think from other there are many industries which can indicate the automation and AI is changing the industry. No matter it's land surveying, the construction, the mining. So these are all similar. From the data collection part to the data processing part, the technology are changing them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for your perspective and your insights. I really think we are really moving at a fast pace in terms of the AI or the automation of the geospatial side. And I think even for us as Zimbabwe, we have been trying to adjust on that one using the AI and the automation for our crop estimations, our yield estimations, so as to complement the SDG2, and then moving on to the African perspective, Johnny, we are now focusing on Africa as a continent itself, which is often described as a leapfrog economy. We are trying to catch up with the technology that's happening in other continents. In your view, where are the biggest opportunities for these technologies in Africa, and what are the main challenges that we must overcome?
Yeah, I think the advantage is that today the technology is easier and easier to access. I remember before, like in China market, when we first introduced those, let's say Trimble, Leica equipment, or maybe the drone. I mean the fixed drone, the surveying drone. Those equipment are so expensive, really expensive. So only very few customer or the government customers they can be able to purchase those equipment. So those are the challenges to prevent the fast development. But today, with a lot of technology, they are easy to use and they're also very affordable to use. So which means that surveying business will not be a high-end solution. So everybody, no matter it's a government agency, you are the service provider, or even for the, let's say, universities, it's easy for us to access to the technology. So again, I want to give one example is that before in China, we had one national surveying project to measure all the, let's say, measure all the land. China is a very big land, so it's really take a very, if we use the traditional technology, it will take a very long time and a very big budget. But then with when introducing the drone and the AI automation technology, it makes the things happen very fast. So the government, firstly, issue the project to maybe different first level big surveying agency, and then each surveying agency they will outsource the project to different small or middle size the surveying firms. So every that time I remember every small firms. So for example, this firm maybe only have 3 or 4 people, and then they can purchase. They can afford 1 or 2 drones, and then they can use this drone to do the mapping. So with it's very efficient, and also like within 1 or 2 days they can measure a large quantity of land. So that's highlight today. So for Africa, I think the benefits will be a lot of the surveyors, students, or government. They can all use this technology in very short time. So if you want to collect the data, so it can happen in a very short time. So this is my opinion. Yeah.
I think in Africa, the biggest potential is exactly where data gaps are largest today. And just to mention some of these big opportunities to me are, for example, urban growth, planning and infrastructure. You spoke as well about crop monitoring and climate resiliency. I think we see a lot of these changes happening, unfortunately. So I think the main barriers I see are fragmented projects, limited in-house capacity sometimes, and also concerns about where the data is stored and who controls this data nowadays. So I think the sovereignty of the data is quite important when it comes to Africa as a continent, but also as separated countries inside the same continent. And I think for me, the way forward is kind of multi-year programs with local skills trained, with local transfer and a clear data governance framework from day one. And on that note, actually, I just want also to invite anyone who wants to understand a bit what Space 42 do in Africa. We have launched a great initiative called Map Africa with Microsoft, ourselves, and Esri. And the idea is really to be close to each one of the countries and provide those solutions to solve the biggest opportunities we've been talking about.
That's interesting. You have talked quite a bit on the issue of data gaps, clear data governance, and so forth. It's really quite an interesting one because we still need to improve on that one, either as Africa or as a nation itself from our side. But I really think it's really a side an aspect that we really should put more effort on, especially on clear data governance and covering up the gaps that we have in terms of data acquisition. It was really interesting on that part. So if we are talking on a real world impact, we often talk about these tools that is AI, automation, advanced sensing. We usually talk about them in isolation. We talk about AI on its own part. We talk about the advancing sensing on its own part. We can talk about automation on its own part. But the magic will really happen when we have them stacked together or put together as a try. So how can satellites, the drones, AI, automation work together to improve our data accuracy and most importantly, our real-time decision making?
Look, I think in practice, all those technologies are working together for me. And based on my experience, there is no technology which is replacing the other one. So I think when it comes to Earth observation with satellite and optical imagery, SAR technologies, drone, we could even add mobile mapping, for example, are all complementary, So I think the satellite gives you the continental view, the drones and the ground sensors provide you the details, and the AI connects both scales together. So I think that combination lets you detect crop stress early, quickly map buildings after disaster, whatever kind of disaster it can be, like major floods or earthquakes, for example, and also continuously monitor critical infrastructure like buildings or bridge or dams. So I think it's all about improving really the accuracy of the information we are providing at the end of the value proposal. And the speed, again, I really insist on the speed of decision making for authorities, because when you are someone part of a big authority, you need to get the right information at the right moment, and that's critical.
Thank you so much. It was a lovely insight. Johnny, could you please tell us about your perspective on the issues of the real world impact?
Sure. I totally agree with Fuzzy, and it's a complementary technology, and I think GIS will be let's say a base. So normally it's, I mean, you can capture all the data, but it's not precise. So on the top of it, let's say second layer, so we can get the maybe the drone data, or maybe use other laser scanner data. Those data are more comprehensive and also more precise. And I think, as I remember, maybe in Dubai, the Dubai municipality, they already get they use maybe fixed wing drone or other multi-copter drone. They already get a very detailed 3D modeling, because the Dubai is not a very big size, and the Dubai government is always like pursuing for the new technology. They already get those map. So with that map, they can do a lot of things: the city planning, the emergency response. So which means that maybe every 1 or 2 year or 3 years, they keep updating those precise data, while they always have a satellite map as a basic. So for example, if there's one emergency response case, so the police or the emergency response team, they can quickly use the precise mapping data, and then the commander can know how to deploy the fleet, how to set up the rescue plan, this kind of guidance. So this will help a lot of industry to make the decision.
When we are talking in terms of the African perspective, we talked a little bit on the pilot projects and so on. So if you are talking about the implementation and the scaling, we have seen many brilliant pilot projects, but the scaling remains a very difficult issue, or should I say a valley of death for a lot of projects. So based on your experience, what is needed to move from a successful pilot project to a large scale implementation, and what lessons have you learned?
Frankly speaking, in my opinion, as I mentioned just now, accessing the technology today is very easy. No matter you are in America, China, Africa, Middle East, you can always have the access to this equipment, to the software. Doing a pilot, I think, is easy. Also, I think the use case might be very similar. Of course, each country they have a little bit different, but basically, no matter it's for the land surveying, AEC, emergency response, the basic logic might be same, but the workflow in each country will be different. So I think pilot is not a challenge, but how to scale up. I think one point is about the education. So today, like in China, the university already like start many new major focusing on the drone technology, the AI technology, automation technology. Those before maybe the students they learn how to use the GPS, RTK, total station. They will have the project always on the street to measuring something. So imagine if we also add such major people are students are flying the drones, they using the AI. So after they graduate, those students they will enter different sectors. Maybe some of them go to the municipality, some of them will start a business as a surveyor, or they will do the analysis or the consultancy. So those will all help us boost this industry to let more people access to the technology. And the second point about the existing surveying industry, I think also this kind of like let's say webinar will help people know this technology because before I find one challenging is that many surveyors who are especially the whose age is a little bit old, it's difficult for them to believe in the new technology. They still believe in that the traditional methods is more reliable, mature, and they don't believe in the AI. So because the AI is true, it cannot be how to say 100%. But we should not deny this technology. It's a trend. We will improve when it's not mature. So I think each country maybe they all have sorry about the light. They all have the institutions of the surveying. So they should play a role to let people know we should embrace the new technology, but not only stay at the same point. And lastly, I think that the government, the regulation will be very important. They should be involved, of course, but at which time and which level, that is important. I find a difference between like Europe and China, the regulation. Let's say about using the drone. In China, we adapt technology first. We encourage everybody to use first, and then gradually complete our regulation. And today, using the drone is also you need to apply for a lot of permissions, but before it's easy. And when it comes to Europe, they will firstly give a very complete, difficult, strict regulation. So everybody is afraid of using that technology. I cannot say which is like 100% right or wrong. I think that for the African government, you can compare these two ways. So maybe we achieve a balance in the middle. That might be like perfect. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Thank you for the incredible insights. Faiz, what's your take on this one?
I think it's an important one, to be honest, because moving from pilots to large scale deployment is less about technology, to be honest, and more about the framework. From my experience, a clear political sponsor can help you scale quickly. A pilot, for example, a data governance model in place can also support this, and most important as well, a multi-year funding that's also critical in some projects which are big enough. So from my experience working with governments over the last couple of years, you need a phased plan, with several steps. And the first step is a reliable base map and data platform, which gives you the base of the foundation or the pyramid, if you want. Then the advanced use case and automation is coming step by step through use cases. And without that architecture and trained local teams, I think projects stay stuck as a demonstrations stage, or even in some cases in failures, because the governance model was not there, the funding was not there, and then it's easy to say the technology didn't work. Whereas actually it's the rest of the ecosystem which was actually blocking a little bit the expansion and the scaling of the project. So that's my I would say point of view on the implementation and scaling.
Okay, thank you so much, Fayez. If you are looking on the future perspective, uh, we are talking about what's next. So, looking ahead, let's say maybe 5 years or 10 years in the future, what is truly next for AI, automation, advanced sensing in an African geospatial landscape? Fayez?
Yes, I think I love this one, to be honest, because it's everything is moving super fast right now. And when it comes to technologies, and Johnny was talking about drones, for example, I mean, I would split my answer into two. If we have a look to software and hardware technology, I think we will see more and more the emergence of AI on edge on those devices in order to provide AI capabilities while the drone is flying, while the mobile mapping is acquiring, while the scanning is acquiring on the ground, and why not even not on satellite Earth observations. The next step in Africa, as a country, I would say, and region scale, is how we could best use the digital twins approach, how we could fed, I would say, a Earth observation and AI model for the continent. And this platform will not only show what is happening, but they will allow governments, again, to simulate scenarios. And we started, to be honest, already seeing this trend more and more. It's more about prediction. It's more about having the support of geospatial data to support predictions in crisis management, in agri, in urban planning, based on people behaviors, demographics, and so on and so forth. So it's quite an interesting time nowadays, because it's not only about geospatial data right now. For a long time, it was XYZ, RGB, hyperspectral, and so on and so forth. Now we start having demographics, people behaviors, purchase power into the decision making through AI. So I think this is where we will need more and more model trained into African specificities, and that's important based on African data. Because as you know, AI is only good when you trained it on data which are actually linked to the ecosystem where the software or the technology are going to be deployed. And last but not least, we shouldn't be forgetting about African talents. And actually, Africa is one of the continents where I would say, the age is one of the youngest around the world. So I think we have great people over there, which will be part of those projects to ensure the sovereignty and the long-term sustainability of AI for good in Africa.
Thank you so much, Faiz. I think the issue of modeling the AI specifically or tailoring it specifically for Africa or the African environment, I think it's really an important one. I will just take the example for the crop estimations and the yield estimations. You said that some of the models where you can just have one maize for a lot of, for maybe, let's say, maybe 50 hectares or so, and then another plant in the other hectares. It's a bit difficult, especially if you're taking Zimbabwe, for example, because we have small scale farmers and commercial farmers. So that one will only, the AI will only apply if we are talking about the commercial farmers where they'll be planting just one plant for a long time, for a very long area or a larger space. But then if you're now talking about our small scale farmers, they'll be having maize and then sunflower and then millet. So it will be now a bit difficult to have the AI trained model for that one because there's no uniformity. It's rather a mixture of things. So it can be a bit difficult if the model it was specifically maybe for Europe or China, and then we are now trying to take that same model to put it for a Zimbabwean perspective or an African perspective. It will really not work as how it should be. There will be a little bit of errors and some distortions on that one. So I really second your point on that one. Johnny, what's your take on this one? On what's next?
Uh, I think I have two opinions. The first one, as I mentioned, I think in the future the technology will be more and more easier and easier to be accessed. Everyone can. Today we are talking about the industry, the enterprise users, and later maybe prosumer or even the ordinary consumer, they can access to those surveying data collection technology. Before I remember, the iPhone, they have one version including the LiDAR. So you can also scan your house doing a little bit of surveying work. So that's one example. I mean, everybody can get the special data very easily. So this will generate a lot of opportunities. And today you find another product, the SLAM, handheld SLAM technology. So today it's very easy and very affordable to use. So this generate for those designer or the indoor surveyors, they can get the comprehensive data. So this is one first point. The more technology will be more accessible, and Secondly, is more and more automation. And today, when we use those equipment or solution, still we needed to have a human operating, right? So let's say for the drone, today what we are focusing on is making the drone in box solution. So when we do the surveying, we don't need the human to operate the drone anymore. So they can just deploy this dog, and the drone will automatically take off and do the surveying. They plan the mission, do the surveying, and fly back, automatically charging. So no one need to interfere the process. So you don't need to go to the field to collect the data anymore.
Just one question. In one sentence, what do you think is the most overhyped trend in AI right now, and what is the most underrated one?
Underrated one.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I need to think about for 1 minute. How about Fizz? Do you have anything in your mind?
I think the most underrated one actually is, as I see it right now. I mean, if you have a look to internet right now, forget about geospatial. We hear a lot about vibe coding and those capabilities now that we can code super quickly any kind of application. I think that's something I would deep dive if I was in this kind of position, to see how those new capabilities which are given to people right now can serve and fit the geospatial world in a proper manner, because it's super easy now to build platforms in few hours, whereas in the past you should be doing it if you didn't have coding, I would say, knowledge. So I think this one is the most underrated. And I think, again, the biggest leapfrog for me is, as I said earlier, is when we will really put AI on edge on, again, technologies. I think we are going to have a massive change in the way as well technologies and analytics are provided to end customers.
Okay, and from my side, I think on one hand, today the utilization of the data is still fully is not like, let's say, even less than 50%. Maybe the government or different entities, they have the geospatial data, but it's not open to a lot of users. So after we collect all the data, how to use that? So maybe it will be a very interesting, valuable part. And secondly, just now I was talking about the drone, and today we already coming to the robot world. What about other robots, like robot on the ground and or underground? So let's say maybe mining, this kind of industry, how we can use those robots to replace human, so to prevent those dangerous, to prevent human to go to those dangerous places and environment. This might also be when the technology I look forward to. Yeah.
So I would like to thank our panelists for these incredible insights on our discussion, which is AI automation, advanced sensing in geospatial, where we are talking about the innovation, the implementation, and the impact of it. It is clear that whilst the AI, the technology, the automation, it's really the engine of us having the geospatial data being made into decision making. I think it is really important if we can have that impact to change the lives of the people around us. Um, on behalf of the GNS Africa Connect, I would like to thank you all for tuning in, as well as our global audiences. Please stay curious, stay connected to the following sessions that we have